Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. So that was a pretty fun episode, as Mark McKeever was up mentions in the comments. Yeah, bro, this was listen, for me waiting such a long time for all of us, but I'm talking. I can talk for me. I'm not going to talk for you. All right. For me waiting so long for this to come out, and hey, and waiting up tonight, it wasn't a bad episode. I am going to point out there are a couple of things that did bother me about the episode, though, that I'm afraid we're going to have to deal with the entire season. I hope I'm not calling something out that all of a sudden is going to bring attention to it to some guys, because, I. So, um, hey, what's up, Raven? How you doing, brother? So, in the very beginning, it was a really epic start. I'm glad that they did it exactly like this. Literally, my one hope was when they showed the whispering, whatever those things called, the whispering whispers on the wind. Anyway, those little missiles, they all target something. When they showed that in the trailer, I'm like, I really hope that's the very first scene that they show in the movie, or at least I hope that they get it out of the way at least by the middle of the first episode because they really did a bit much. You know what I'm saying? They did just a bit much. What's up, Barbarella? How you doing? So they did it in the opening act. Perfect. Because when you show a scene as epic as that, and Yiddle, his name is Yiddle, not Baby Yoda. Okay, it's Yiddle. That's because I named him that anyway. He's hiding and he looks all cute. It's like you don't want that to be something that you're constantly waiting for at some point. You want to be like, it's good, it's done, it's out. Yes, thank you. So the "you won't die by my hand" thing, perfect. As soon as he said it, I don't think there's a single one of us who were like, well, I wonder what it means by that. No, we all knew exactly what was about to happen. So you don't show those things with the red eyes off in the distance without that, of course, coming back to get you. It's like whispers of the Wendigo. So the street tags and the graffiti in that area told you just how seedy that area was. I couldn't make much of it out. I thought I saw a C3PO at one point, but is what it is. Then we get into the bad part right away. The part that I absolutely hated about this when he lands, and I think her name is Amy Sedaris. I just saw the honest trailer for the Mandalorian. I don't watch Saturday Night Live. I haven't really watched Saturday Night Live since Eddie Murphy wasn't on it anymore. So apparently she's one of the people from Saturday Night Live, and yeah, about the same level of acting quality that I'd expect from an SNL skit. Um, the timing was off the way that she was talking, and it wasn't just her. The lines were so overly rehearsed. It was painful. There was no heart, no emotion. They were spoken way too fast. I really wish that I did write down everything that was said so that I can reenact it for you guys right now. But it essentially went something to the effect of, "Hey, what are you guys doing? You know that he doesn't like you got your kind so much. What are you trying to do? Give all your people a bad name, to the droids." And he's like, "So how have you been?" "Well, I've been pretty fine, just okay, but line over to you." My line. "Okay, well, yes, I'm very happy that everything is okay." "Yeah, well, everything is okay, so it's cool." It's like, dude, just stop. You learn your lines, but stop reading your lines and memorize your lines. That's one of the problems. Like, and it's Pedro Pascal on the Mando part. He's the one doing it. Instead of just speaking his lines, it would have been nice if, excuse me, it would have been nice if he could have memorized his lines and spoke them. I'm telling you right now, this guy, since it's voice acting, he's not actually in the armor when he's doing that, right? It's voice acting. He could do that from home. He has done it from home. The trick is, he's just like reading the lines. You could tell he's reading the script as opposed to speaking it. And it's terrible. It's horrible. And Amy Sedaris' timing is so off. She comes in too fast. She ends too slow. Her speaking was just too much. It's like, dude, stop. So that really threw me off. And it threw me off well into the first appearance of what we thought was Boba Fett. Dude comes walking in with a freaking, red bandana stuff on and the Boba Fett thing. It's like, he's not going to see Boba Fett right away. So it's Timothy Olyphant is apparently this guy's name. He's an actor who's been in some movies and some TV shows. I don't know, I think Deadwood was one of them. I don't know this guy from anything. He looked more like Pierce Brosnan to me, and I thought for a second, nah, did they really get Pierce Brosnan? Because that's awesome if they did. I don't have a problem with this guy. It is what it is. So I kind of had a feeling that they were going to use the Crate Dragon because one of the things that they've done often in these TV shows, the Mandalorian TV shows, is they lean heavily on the background of the characters of the world. Specifically, the characters are new for the most part, but the world, the mythology of the world, and no world has more mythology on it in the Star Wars galaxy than Tatooine and the myth of the Crate Dragon. When first off, there's some misconception. I know that I've gotten into, I wouldn't say an argument, but I've gotten into it with a couple people once in a time, back and forth, a tete-a-tete, where somebody's like, yeah, the Crate Dragons are all extinct. I'm like, no, they're not. I know that there's some of the mythology out there, the legends, the EU, the expanded universe, that say that they don't exist anymore. No, they do. You just rarely see them anymore. The first time that we heard of a Crate Dragon was when in the original episode, The New Hope, episode 4, when Obi-Wan, old man Alex McGinnis, scared away the Sand People, the Tusken Raiders, off of Luke. He was like, "Oh yeah, I just mimicked a Crate Dragon, and they're terrified of those things, but it won't keep them away for long." They wouldn't be afraid of this thing or know how it sounds like if it didn't exist anymore. So when the EU started writing some books, not a lot, but some of the books, like, oh, the mythology of these things, they don't exist anymore. They're long since extinct. Also, the Star Wars Galaxy games gave the appearance that they were extinct until after the combat upgrade. But anyway, the thing after the combat upgrade. So they, yeah. Um, what do you call it? So they do exist. So I'm glad that we actually got to see one. We did get to see the bones of one, I think, also in episode 4, and they are freaking huge. So later on, oh, this bothered me also when Oliphant and Pascal were on the speeder bikes and they were driving out to have that meeting with the Sand People, not realizing the Sand People were going to be there. When they were talking back and forth, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I got and this is how I got the armor because the bandits came in and stuff like that." It was a cool story. The problem is he was talking more quietly than I'm talking right now. I mean, they're on speeder bikes. Those things are loud. We saw. In fact, only the Mando was on a speeder bike. He's actually on a modified what do you call it? Those pod racers. He's got one of the pod racer engines and set up a little table or a little bench on the side for him to sit on. I thought that was cool, and they even used the sound at one point just in case you've forgotten. It's like, hey, check this out! Boom! It's like, stop talking, yell over the loudness, the sound of these, especially your engine. Like, those are supposed to be really freaking loud. Come on. So I'm going to get to the questions in a hot moment, guys. Bow. After that, it actually started to get a lot better. They kept to the freaking legacy and the lore of the Star Wars galaxy. You notice that the Sand People were marching in single file so as to hide their numbers. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's little details like that. Like I'm really perceptive. I pay a close attention to the details. It's those little things that be like, you messed up. Say, oh no, that was good. That was a really good thing. Just little things like that. They marched in single file because everyone would have seen them all over the place. I'd be like, no. Careful, Marshall. Oh, yeah, more of these dumb lines. When that one girl comes up to him, there was the black miner girl who walks up and hands the detonators to the Marshal, Timothy Olyphant. She walks up and is like, "Careful, Marshall." Okay, why would That's a weird thing to say to the marshal. It's like you're handing, and it was assumed. I don't know, just kind of weird. And then of course he's got to be like, now you stay safe here. What was the point of that exchange? It was entirely pointless, and it really fed into the idea we knew exactly what was going to happen. He was actually I was honestly expecting him to detonate those things too soon. I'm glad they didn't do that, but it did lead into the whole I'm just going to do it now. It's like dickhead, he's nowhere near. The crate dragon is nowhere near the freaking bombs. Why would you detonate it now? Like, I'm literally like, oh, please stop. I didn't even get mad at it. It was just, it exhausted me. You know how sometimes a character would do something so stupid, you just want to jump in the screen and throttle the guy? No, this is just like, I'm exhausted. You depleted my energy with your nonsense. Why? Crate Dragon's over here. Here's the explosives. I'm going to do it now. You hoping you to get sand in his eye? You freaking moron. God, that's so pathetic. Little things like that, dude, they crush my soul when I'm sitting here watching this. Here's something that I loved. The bile. Dragons should have dragon breath, right? Black dragons I just remember I was wearing this, the Dungeons and Dragons game setting. The black dragons spit acid. Why not one of these guys? I mean, if they're spitting fire, it's going to seem kind of weird. Plus, spitting fire, I'm right away thinking you should have the cool shades on, the hat turned backwards, and just start, doing some like old school Run DMC lyrics. Maybe little fat boys in the back with a. But anyway, I don't have a problem with some sand people doing a beatbox. It looks like they've already got a beatbox on the front of their freaking maws. But the cool part is it's actually spitting acid. It's got dragon's breath. I'm like, okay, that is cool. And it was used more than once. So I dug on that. That comment about, yeah, an abandoned Starlight pit. I've been here for a long time and blah, 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 blah. Shut up, Oliphant. I hope to see you again. I don't, but I know that we will. And I'm going to get into that in a moment. But when he's just like, what do you call it? The whole thing with the armor back and forth. I'm like, just take the freaking armor, just shoot the guy if you got it. Like, what's he gonna do? The guy didn't really do anything. He didn't really help the situation at all. I really don't think that he added anything to the story. Maybe later, just another person that gets shot, I guess. But that was cool. And then, of course, at the end, the little detail, man, when they found this is what they were looking for. They wanted everything that was left of the crate dragon. They wanted the flesh and what'd they say? Not the sinew, the oils, whatever. They wanted everything that was left. I'm like, they're looking for a crate pearl, aren't they? That's what they found at the end. It was a crate dragon pearl. Darth Revan, I think, is the first person who in the Star Wars EU, the expanded universe, actually used a crate dragon pearl to power his lightsaber, while most of the time he used a kyber crystal. And the history of the kyber crystals have changed so many times between the comics and the books, and they didn't even have them in the movies, really. The video games, everything, they've always changed it and whatnot. But anyway, Darth Revan, I believe, is the first person who chose to use a crate dragon pearl to power his lightsaber. Looking at this, the size of this pearl, it's like that must have been a huge lightsaber, right? No. Dragons don't use, dragons can get that big, but besides the fact that he could have used from a smaller dragon, that's the gizzard part to help with the digestion of, breaking down the crazy foods that this thing eats. And all lizards have a gizzard. Gizzard. So, no, more specifically, it's also been theorized, speculating that you can actually use laser cutting to actually cut down a crate dragon pearl in order to use it for, like, to break it up and sell it on different parts, or to actually use it for powering a lightsaber. So that right there was totally epic. I hope that we see that again. I don't care about seeing Oliphant again. Some of the acting in this, man, getting Bill Burr was cute, but I mean, what was the point of getting him, for that one episode that last time? And apparently he's going to be back. I like Bill Burr's stand-up. I just don't see the point in him in this. It's just loud yelling for no real reason. Let me see your eyes, Mando. I never saw that guy as a threat, not for a single moment. The big freaking The big dude, I saw him as a threat. This guy, no. The crappy, I don't know. So here's the thing that I was talking about before. While this was a good episode, good meaning it was better than it wasn't. It kind of rushed itself, in my opinion. This was weird. One of the things that you can usually count on with Hollywood is to not give you what you consciously expect, but to give you what you subconsciously expect. Case in point, in a part 2 of a movie, or in a second or a third or 30th season of a television show, they will usually give you the exact same thing again. In this particular case, for season 2, what I expected was that episode 1 and 2 of season 2 was going to be them. We got to, the lore. I got to find the kid. I got to find the kid's, parentage. I got to find a Mando. I got to find a Jedi. I got to find, my wallet and my left sock. I got to do all these different things. All right. I lost my phone. I got to find that. That's what I really expect the first 2 episodes to be. And then 2 episodes of dawdling, fun dawdling, but nonetheless. And then 2 episodes of, hey, where I've got a story to follow. Yes, I do have a story to follow. And then episode 7 and 8 are going to be, holy crap, it's great and it's wild. And here comes a flame trooper and this troop transport, and he'll use the Force again and stop the fire. And we're got to sacrifice a character. So I wasn't expecting them to get right into the episode 3 and 4 with this first episode. You get what I'm saying? I expected this to perfectly mirror what we saw in the previous season. But instead, it's like we just skipped the first 2 episodes. So does that mean that we're going to have 4 episodes instead of 2 of just dawdling? I'm actually okay with that if it's a good dwaddle, if it's a Yiddle dwaddle, because he's so cute when he walks and he drinks his soup and eats his cheeky nuggets. But that being said, they kept to the lore. They went right to Tatooine so that they could just, boom, hit you hard with the whole, look, the Star Wars legacy. And then, of course, that ending, that, of course, was Boba Fett. That was the unaltered son, the unaltered clone of Jango Fett. That was clearly him by the face. They could do something else instead and be like, Now, the question is, what's the lore going to be behind him? Because originally he was supposed to be a Mandalorian. That's actually where the name came from. Boba Fett's a Mandalorian. We're going to give him his father a chance to shine too, and he's going to be the Mandalorian that's going to teach him the stuff. And it's like, well, he didn't actually get to teach the stuff because he died too soon. It's like, well, that really didn't make any kind of sense. And then they kind of explained it later in the Star Wars, not Rebels, the thing that came, the Clone Wars, the animated series. It's so hard to follow this stuff. And then George Lucas had every single thing to do with that one episode where it's like, Jango Fett and Boba Fett are not Mandos in any way. They stole the armor. And it's like, okay, but now we're going back to the idea that they were actually Mandos. So, and I don't know what they're going to do at this point because they're all over the place with this. I'm curious where this is going to go. The acting in this was terrible, guys. Like, the acting was out of this world, absurdly freaking horrible. Worse than the first season, than anything that I saw in the first season. It was really wretchedly bad. Timing and everything. I guess that's one of the ways they get away with not having too much money to do that. I don't know. I don't know what their excuse is. Instead of hiring the Saturday Night Live crew, why not hire actual actors? I don't know. I just didn't need to see Amy Sedaris or whoever that was in the beginning. I absolutely did not need to see. If I was like, hey, how you doing? Here's like a quick minute, sure, but stop with the overacting. Stop, please. Just at the same time, though, you can see some parts for it. Case in point, when he said, actually, I guess they might as well, the droids, they might as well go do their thing because he kind of trusts droids now because of the IG-11 thing. Okay, heartwarming, cute little reminder without beating us over the head with it. Anyway, there were some good parts about this. There were some bad parts about this. I think the good parts definitely outweighed, but it was leaning heavily on the legacy, the lore, and everything else, as opposed to the acting in this. Looking forward, of course, to seeing what happens going forward. Um, One thing I wanted to comment on, I don't know if you guys saw, and if you didn't, you should definitely watch them. There's the behind the scenes stuff. So there's the Star Wars gallery, the Mandalorian gallery. If you haven't checked that out, it goes behind the scenes. It talks about the score. It talks about the cast. It talks about the crew. It talks about the lighting. It talks about the sound. It talks, the music behind it. It talks about the set. It talks about so many different aspects of making the show and where Dave Filoni comes from. Jason Favreau is Jason Favreau. Anyway, Favreau. He's talking about the stuff. Like all these people are there. There's one or two episodes. There's two episodes out of 9, I believe it was, where Kathleen Kennedy is there. The second one, she might as well have not been there. The first episode, though, she was there, and man, she really look. Every so often, everybody would kind of talk over each other. They would kind of, hey, John Favreau, thank you, bad. They would talk, over each other, interrupt each other. Favreau was really good, bad at interrupting Filoni all the time, as though he didn't respect him. It was a little rude at some points. The problem is when Kathleen Kennedy was there, she was just interrupting everybody. And while, look, it's going to seem in a way like sexism that I didn't like when she was doing it, worse than how anybody else was doing it. The problem is that Kathleen Kennedy is in charge of the Star Wars universe, galaxy. And she feels as though and it's true that before Disney came along and bought the Star Wars franchise, George Lucas actually handed the reins of the Star Wars universe to Kathleen Kennedy directly. And then Disney came along and bought the property. So she was the natural head for all of this. I don't know if she let it get to her head or not, but I mean, when you put out Solo, which was an okay movie, and you put out Rogue One, which was to me, it was a really good movie. You don't like it, that's fine. You loved it, that's fine. All of our opinions are valid, right? We don't have to defend them. We all have our own tastes. I like broccoli. Some of you guys might not. But when Kathleen Kennedy's in charge of all those movies, including those 3 movies that were supposed to be the natural successors to episodes 1 through 6, episodes 7, 8, and 9, they're even talking about trying to uncanonize them and make them like a what if sort of scenario, because the majority of fans hated them so much. I didn't want Kathleen Kennedy to talk. I wanted her to shut the hell up and listen, is what I wanted. That's what I needed to see from her. And I saw in the second appearance that she did in those galleries. And what she needs to do is she needs to stop and just listen. Pay attention to what Filoni is saying. Pay attention to what Favreau is saying. Pay attention to what the people who are making this show are saying. And don't, for a moment, intercede. Because I feel like that's a lot of what she tries to do. Something happens. She says, oh, this works. Let's do more of that. No. Clearly, Kathleen Kennedy has shown more than anything else that her decisions are horrible. I don't know if she's supposed to leave or if they're going to kick her out, and I don't care. She could stay. But sometimes you have to be smart enough to acknowledge when you're not the right person for a job. You want to be the boss, cool, but you don't need to be the writer, so don't write. You don't need to be the director, so don't direct. You don't need to be the freaking camera guy, so get the hell, to the side of the camera. Let the actual camera person jump in. Be the boss and know when to be hands off. And that's the thing I hope that she really gets to, because I feel like if anybody's seen The 13th Warrior, an amazing movie, and there was a scene in there where they had to teach the incumbent prince what to do, but they had to teach it in a way that he didn't get the lesson directly. It was indirectly, and they had to kill a very strong person in order to do it, to make that point. but they did, and hopefully that guy got that point. And boom, just that's yeah. Kanye West said it best: corporate Disney, Star Wars is crap. Eh, knowledge from Kanye. Let's go back and look at some of the things in here. Star Wars Episode 2 or Season 2, Episode 1, Love. Doing okay, nice. I was just to watch it when your stream started. Well, you're an hour late, brother. You're an hour late. We know the minute Yiddle. Love you. Let me just pop you up on the screen. Boom, she said Yiddle. We knew the minute Yiddle pushed button to hide. Can't wait to talk about the epic cameo R5D4 from episode 4. Oh, yeah, that little he appeared in the previous season also. It wasn't like that big. I just looked and I was like, oh yeah, they brought him back again. Go and check out, like I said, that one thing, the gallery, the Mandalorian gallery. They showed where they got the parts to make IG-88 from, and all the different things that they were doing. Like it's so great to see those behind the scenes, man. Um, Easily as good as the actual thing. Santa Clarita Diet. Not sure what that means. I remember the old Santa something diet. Thinking about it too much. Wow, what an ending. Yeah, yeah. When you're showing Boba Fett there, uh, is that also it was Anakin's pod? Oh, was it actually Anakin's pod racer? See, that just seems a little bit too on the nose, But whatever. That's the one that worked. Oh, I guess because the one part like shot off, so yeah, I guess it would make sense. Um, got another appearance of the infamous ice cream maker. They had to, right? And again, that's a huge part of Star Wars lore is that ice cream maker, that kid's ice cream maker. And they also talked a lot about that in one of the episodes and that's actually where I first heard it from, that episode of the Mandalorian behind the scenes thing, the gallery. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, I could not possibly describe it as well as, trust me, you're going to love the behind the scenes stuff. John Fowler gallery is so good. Mark gets it. Kathy has lied to us repeatedly. Basic Attacker says to fans, yeah, true. We've always had a plan. We don't have any source material. I will honor George's characters. But you know what? George never honored his characters. And he always changed things all the time. He didn't know that he was going to make it that Leia was his sister, Luke's sister and stuff like that. He didn't know any of that stuff. Even the whole father thing, he didn't know he was going to make, spoiler for a movie that came out in 1980. But he didn't even know that he was going to make Luke Skywalker the son of Darth Vader until the movie came out. So, I mean, like it wasn't in the script, did two endings at the end just because, and then it was like Mark Hamill didn't even know what he was saying when he said it, So yeah, I don't know, man. It is what it is. I think that, like, honestly, I can't. There's some things I can hold people's feet to the fire for, but there's some that I won't also. And basically, why do you think one of the reasons is that George Lucas picked her to be his successor? Probably because she knew all of his tricks too, Lie. Lie often, lie repeatedly, and lie as best you can. I mean, she'd make a good president. You know what I'm saying? Show me a president that hasn't lied in the past 40 years. Let's see. I hope so. These movies suck. Those movies suck. Yeah, those movies do kind of suck. She made no contribution to the gallery show. She just wants to hang out with the cool crowd. Yes, and she wanted to be loud in the first appearance that she did, but she was quiet in the second one, and I appreciated that. Episode 7 was just a New Hope reboot. She needs to stop steering the ship. Agreed. Wow. So yeah, a lot of people agreeing with me on that one. Anyway, for the most part, like I said, the pros outweighed the cons as far as this one is concerned. I liked it. I liked this first episode, but it is a huge cringe factor, the acting in here. It's like you're just hiring friends, and that never worked. It's like loaning money to friends. Don't do it. Or at least expect that you're not going to get the money back so it doesn't hurt when you don't, Do you think they will kill Boba Fett off in the series? I think it'd be a huge mistake to kill Boba Fett off in this series, and I don't think that Kathleen Kennedy would allow that to happen. You know what I'm saying? No, I think it would be a huge mistake because he would technically be the last clone. None of the other clones with their accelerated aging could possibly survive. So he would be the last clone, right? It would genuinely be the end of a legacy when he dies. It would be a huge passing over the torch now that they've changed his story so much. Excuse me. So I don't honestly, I don't know, but I doubt it. I genuinely doubt that they're going to kill him because there's just way too much that they can do with him going forward. The cool part is when we find out that Sasha Banks isn't a Sith, that she's actually Sabine Wren. That's my theory, at least. I talked about in the Comic Book University podcast, which you guys can check out every Sunday morning, everywhere you download your podcasts. And I'm going to end on that cheap plug of my own material. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for showing up with me. Thank you for your comments. Also, it helps to get more clarification, even guiding my own thoughts on where the show could potentially go and understanding what we'd seen. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you all later. Get some sleep. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.